Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to get your family, your partner, the people in your life involved in your journey. For a lot of women, a lot of people in general, this can be a struggle when you're the only one making these changes. So we're going to talk about easy steps that you can take to include everyone, but not feel like that judgy person who's putting all their stuff on you. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I am back from Colorado and only to leave again on Friday. I know. But it was good. It was very pretty. The weather was wonderful.
Amanda went to a bougie hotel, everyone.
I did go to it. I wish I could say what I call it on here, but I'm not going to.
Don't do it. Don't get us canceled.
I know. So, yes, it was very bougie. It was like a members hotel where I was like, okay. So it was fun. I'm glad we went. It was nice to see all of Michael's family. So that was their trip. There were no catches in the giddy ups, which is always positive.
Oh, good.
Yes. I'll tell you something off air. That happened. But other than that, I mean, I got really sunburnt, so that was great. We played pickleball, and I think I like pickleball.
Yeah, my sister-in-law loves it.
Really? Yeah, that was my second time playing, I think, second or third, and I was like, I think I kind of like this.
Yeah.
So
I'm down.
Really? That's what I like. Are there indoor pickleball courts here?
I'm sure.
If
there's not, then we're making them.
Oh, yeah, and calling it Mindset of Pickles or something.
Mindset of Pickles.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Yeah. So no complaints. I got back maybe around 11 yesterday, I want to say, and then just crashed, took a nap, got ready for the week as much as I remembered to. And then, but the only thing, I had to text my pelvic floor physical therapist because it's just like a muscle soreness in there. It's really odd. And it's not necessarily when I'm doing anything. It's like when for example, I'm laying on one side in the bed and then I'm rolling to the other side. And it's like when my legs come and follow.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like a soreness. I'm like, hey, what's up with that? So.
Yeah. We gotta look at that.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had a client just tell me that same thing. She's like, when I roll over but it's her hips. So yeah. Yeah. Well, luckily, one, and she was just interviewed, which we love. We went to Nashville this weekend. It was an indulgent weekend for sure. It's funny because we got there Wednesday night and we were very hungry, and we went to just this bar that was near us, and I had a shredded pulled chicken sandwich, which was good. Yeah. Pulled chicken. Then we kind of moseyed around, but then Thursday we went to a pool party all day. And, for me, because it's so indulgent, you're drinking and everything there is hot chicken. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna every morning I had one of those Fairlife shakes.
Good for you.
It was so nice because and also when I eat like that, I'm not very hungry in the morning.
Yeah.
So I, would have I ate a lot of Brussels sprouts. Lots of Brussels sprouts. Yes. Love Brussels. But one day, Mark and we went to meet up with a friend that we had met when we were there and stayed for 5 weeks. And I knew that it was going to be an indulgent meal. This breakfast sandwich has whipped feta with a bit of honey, avocado, bacon, egg, tomato on a homemade English muffin. It is so delicious. It is one of the most beautiful things I've ever eaten. Then you eat the whipped feta with the honey by itself with homemade pita.
It sounds really good.
So good. But we were supposed to go ahead.
Sorry.
I would say we're supposed to go to dinner that night, but we just decided because we had the indulgent kind of brunch, we met at 11, that we would have an early dinner. and we shared everything. We shared a lot of meals, but definitely feeling it today. I'm pretty lethargic, and here in Tulsa to see my Destin. Saw him last night. Went out and had food and stuff with them. It's going to be a rough couple of weeks just because of travel like you are doing, eating out. Luckily, I have a kitchen here. So I haven't had a kitchen in a week and a half. So that's nice.
Yeah, I definitely learned I'm told Michael, I was like, I'm glad we came for me to learn this part too of like eating, because you're there, so you have like 3 meals instead of what you've had, because you don't have your kitchen to like grab your turkey or grab your strawberries or grab your apples. Right. And so it was like 3 meals a day, and by the end of it, I just did not feel good. And because of course the meals, like as you're experiencing too, are more decadent, right? Like which is great. Yeah. They're tasty, but also I don't feel good. And so I ended up getting like, my mom said it was heartburn, but it was like throat burn,
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. Well, I had heartburn. So, and that was like really uncomfortable. And I was like, oh yeah, like, okay. So now I know I definitely need to eat like my smaller meals that I do throughout the day. And I mean, I can just have 3, like that's obviously a choice, but I need a better plan, like of arranging that and not doing that.
Yeah, it can be tough. It's, we talked about it last time of kind of how do you get creative when you're traveling, which I think a lot of people listening are probably listening to this in the car while they're traveling. So thank you. Welcome to our party. Speaking of partying, we had so much fun. We met some really fun people.
Was it just you and Mark, or
nope.
where did the new friends come in?
New friend Kenny, new friend Sierra, new friend Skylar, and her boyfriend. I forget his name. And we made friends at one place called Old Dirty Bastards or something. It's on Broadway in Nashville. And it's like, they always have the best freaking bands there. And we all were, so Kenny was by himself, then us, and then the group. And we all just kind of came together. And then, of course, we ended up at karaoke. And we had so much fun. And for the, Mark and I was like, okay, we're leaving, because it was like 6:30 and we've been there too long, day drinking for sure. And so I got us back to the hotel and I went downstairs, and all I wanted to do was get like little things to like nibble on. So again, we shared like a couple plates of things, Brussels sprouts. I think I ate Brussels sprouts every day. But we had so much fun. It was such a good time.
When's the best time to go to Nashville?
Anytime.
Really?
Literally anytime. Okay. It was a bit humid. 4th of July was humid. Ooh. Like I was wearing boots and a skirt, and I felt like my boots were going to be full of water from like it was that humid. But we had a rooftop at our hotel that did a little shindig. We had, oh my God, you guys, we were at the pool party at the Virgin Hotel. Shout out to them. Amazing hotel, amazing staff, wonderful. This pool is, if I stretched your pool out to make it like as big as the desk, I feel like, or like a large kitchen table. It was very long, but like narrow. And by the end, not even the end, like this must be their best pool party. We just happened to be staying there. So we got in. There had to be like 500 people in this pool. I'm not even shitting you. And the only bad thing about the Virgin is they didn't have very many pool chairs. So people are like just kind of putting their stuff in little corners and nooks, and they want you to buy like a table, which is great if there's not just 2 of you. What am I going to do? Black out? No, it's not that important. 500 people though, and nowhere to sit. Like it was nuts. So we left that and took a nap ski. Cause
I was going to say, how long did y'all last there?
We lasted for, I went there at 11, and I know we woke up from our nap at 6. So probably 11 to like 4. And then we went and napped, and then we went out.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry. Then we went back up to the rooftop and watched the fireworks, met friends there, went with those friends to a couple of places. It's my superpower to meet people. I have no problem talking to people. I love it. And I don't tell them anything about me.
No, nothing at all.
I don't tell them what I do. We're like, what do you do? I'm an entrepreneur. I own businesses. Like, I don't even get into it anymore.
Really?
Well, I mean, let's look at this team. I'm drinking Coors Light.
Yeah.
In a mini skirt with cowboy boots on, with sweat dripping down my leg. I don't need to be talking about the ins and outs of health and wellness at the moment.
Yeah.
So I just leave it to myself. I do make people drink a lot of water. I'm the water police. So every time because Nashville's great. They have like water stations. So nice. Everyone get a water or I bring it to the table. So I take care of them. But I'm finally at the point where I'm like, I'm not telling you what I do.
You should do that more often because like I'll tell people and then they kind of look at me like, are you going to judge me or are you going to preach to me? And I'm like, I'm not going to do either because I really don't give a fuck right now.
Yeah.
I don't want you. And one of the things that I had a really hard time with this weekend, and it was just, and I know it's all coming from a place of like love and caring and like, oh my gosh, same kind of way of life, or not way of life, but same phase of life. But people wanted to talk so much about baby stuff. And as you know, I like don't care. It's not that I don't want to, but it's like, I have so many other things that I'm more interested in, like that so even like with the health and fitness, and when I tell people, oh yeah, I'm a trainer, I work on the mindset of matter, blah, 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 then it starts becoming like, oh, I need to diet. Oh,
oh yeah.
And I'm going to steal that from you because I go like,
baby.
Yeah, because then I'm like, no, you probably don't. Like, we can get you like, because then I start like, and then I'm going to call you. And I'm like, no, you're not, but okay. That's me. Like, they're always like, I'm going to call. I promise. Okay. Like
never calls. Never call.
Never.
Nope. Yeah. Don't call. Yeah. So I didn't tell anyone what I did. It was grand. So that's we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep doing
cool. If one of those people found like they listen to our YouTube and they're like, oh my God.
That's the girl. That was pushing Jello shots all afternoon. Yeah, I did have Jello shots. I don't do shots anymore, except for Jello shots. Yeah, apparently when in Nashville.
And what's it called? Gilligan's.
Yes. Well, that to me, a Jello shot doesn't count.
Oh, really?
I don't think there's any alcohol in it. There totally is. And I think the reason why is because they don't phase me which is weird because I don't drink hard alcohol. Right. So like I used to do shots back in the day, like when I bartended, like let's go bombers with like Red Bull when I was 20 years old, literally 20. Anyway, since then I stick to my cold Coors Light and the kiddos. So the new friends, it was one of their 21st birthday. So I had to take her under my wing. Yeah. She was so cute. Shout out to Sierra. She plays a sport at a certain university, but I probably don't need to be shouting all of that out on her. But I did. I mommed her. I watered, gave her all the water. Then her friends left her. So I'm like, don't worry. I will get you home. Don't you worry. You're in good hands.
So
they had to have a conversation. They're a couple. They came back. So then I was happy because then I was like, where's this going to go? Because this is a girl's 21st birthday. Is she going to be a vomit girl? Is she going to be crying girl? Is she going to convince me to go out somehow, girl? She was none of the above. She was very well behaved.
Good for
her.
Good job.
Yeah. Sierra. Yeah. So speaking of Sierra, you will not get this reference, but Lindsay Hubbard from Summer House is pregnant.
Literally have never heard any of those words.
So we're going to start a little corner. Christina Corner is pop culture and Amanda Corner is news. And then we're going to keep each other informed.
Okay.
You need this too. This is important.
What is she from? Lindsay Hubbard?
Summer House. So Summer House is a show where they get a house in the Hamptons, and they've been doing this for years. They're friends. And Lindsay has had, oh my God, Lindsay, if you were listening, girl,
She's pregnant.
just get on a call with me. Like, I want to get into that head. I know why you struggle with abandonment issues. So then you go better than to this kind of like, you're not doing these things for me. You're not being a man. I used to be that woman, or I know how to treat that woman. Anyway, she has gone through multiple relationships. She has had a miscarriage. She has had an engagement that this is probably what you've heard. He broke it off like a week before or 2 weeks before, and it was on camera. Did you hear this in the news?
No, I did not hear this. And your news and my news is totally different.
I don't know what they're talking about on your news, but in my news, this is what we're talking about.
So wait, who is she pregnant by then?
Okay. If you want to know if you want me to spill the tea, as the kids say, then grab a fucking straw. Listen.
Okay.
So she was with Carl. Her and Carl have been besties, and then they got together, and then she was a hothead. They broke up. Carl had a pretty bad drug and alcohol problem, and now he is sober. He's California sober, likes to smoke a little weed, likes to do some shrooms. But that does not affect his mental health, apparently. I don't know him. So he is with her. She is not sober. She gets the equivalent of ex-Tina when she gets mean Tina when she is drunk and gets it lays into him. And then he starts acting kind of the same way. He starts acting from his addiction brain, being kind of rude to her. And it's just constant. It's this constant thing of them fighting. So he decides he's breaking off this engagement. This was less than a year ago. They just did the reunion probably 3 months ago, because they do a reunion of the season. And now she is posting that she's pregnant with a guy that I'm guessing she's been with for like 6 to 8 months, maybe. And she's probably 3 months pregnant?
No, she's further along than that.
She's far along. So it really gets me going to think, was this planned? If it was planned, and this was a guy I guess you had gone on some dates with prior to Carl, but I also know that she had a miscarriage, which is terrible, from another guy. So then my brain goes, okay, and I think we talked about this before. Are these kids using protection?
We talked about that before, but we cut it from.
Yeah. So, yeah, we don't know who the new guy is. She's kept him secret. But
yeah, it's very baby daddy. And she's got him, but with a heart over his
face. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Y'all tell us how you feel, though, those who listen or watch. How do we feel about the quick turnaround? Now, the girl that I love on the show, Paige DeSorbo, did say, you may be in love with the love of your life a year from now pregnant from his baby. She was saying, like, trying to like hype her up after the breakup. So Paige got it right. But
Paige DeSorbo?
DeSorbo.
Got it. Yeah,
she's my girl. So there's that. And then
you like that.
What?
She's your giggly squad. You like them.
Yes. I mean, Mark listened to them yesterday when I was driving. Also, Cardi B might be pregnant again too. Lots of pregnancy stuff.
She was Cardi B.
Is that? Did we declare? Is it full send on the gram or what?
No.
Because I'm really trying to sound cool. I know what I just said.
No, she has not sent it on the gram.
See, so lots of babies. You started a trend.
I guess so. Yeah, because I've got a client who's due in October. I've got another client due in December. Two of my girlfriends are due in December. A former client is due, I think, in February now. So yeah, there's a lot of babies in my atmosphere.
I love it. What do you got for my news? What do I need to know?
Okay. Well, I'm assuming you didn't watch the debate between Biden and Trump.
No, but I understand what's going on.
So that's what's going on. Is
Is
that
he pieced out yet? No, I saw. Oh, sorry. I'm listening.
that's okay. You we're learning from
My
each other.
straw for the political tea.
So yeah, Biden and Trump had a debate, and now for those of you that are listening, I am not voting for either of them. So I have no skin in this game for those two. Now I watched the debate because I like politics, and I found it was going to be very curious or interesting because of the way the CNN, I was on CNN, set up the rules, because it really meant that Trump, for those of that like Trump, we got to admit he likes to interrupt and kind of overpower. And Biden, we got to admit he takes a while to get to his point. So the rules apply to both in a different way. So I was going to watch that, and it was very interesting from my perspective. But now Biden had a very poor performance. And I will admit it was very concerning. Like there was times where I was like, what is he even saying? And I feel like if anybody's in that position of power, you should be able to know exactly what they're saying.
Correct.
So now he is refusing to step down, but Democratic people are starting to come out and say he needs to.
Yes.
There's a couple theories that they had the debate this early. Yeah, they had the debate this early, so that way it gives them time to nominate someone.
Oh, sneaky.
Yes.
Where's Michelle Obama come into this? Because I'm ready for it.
She's not. She said she's not running.
I know. This is my pretend land where I live.
Yeah, Obama's watch the news. Of kind of some Clinton conspiracies going on. I don't know if you know about that.
Oh no! Please share. Not right now.
Okay.
I want to know all this stuff because then I might look into it.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Trump is still on the Republican side.
Trumping along.
Yep. Teflon Don.
Teflon Don. I listened to a podcast about him on The Apprentice.
Oh, really?
It was actually it was pretty interesting that, he very much wanted his kids involved. He really like shits on Nepo babies because he believes his kids are actually working. I don't know if they are.
I listened to a whole podcast with Ivanka Trump. Actually. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it sounds like they do actually work from my opinion.
They also said like he is a character, like this is a character, even as a president, he's a character. Really? Yeah. And his own son was quoted saying that. There's a man who just recently wrote a book about him. He met with him many, many times, and every time he didn't know who he was. So this guy was a little bit concerned with his whole situation. Now, guys, I'm listening to this on like a pop culture podcast, so take it as you will. But I was actually it was intriguing about how he capitalized on The Apprentice, because The Apprentice only paid him like $25,000 an episode.
Yep.
But him and Mark Burnett made an agreement with the ads companies that would come in. So like Crystal Light, Nabisco, whatever, like the ad companies is like, oh, Crystal Light is launching a new lemonade campaign. Like y'all need to figure out the campaign.
Yes.
That person paid the show, and Trump and Burnett split that.
Yes.
So he ended up making like $20 million.
Yeah. So she was saying in regards to the Apprentice part, because they had asked her about that. And she had said it was a great opportunity because they would film in the morning, like at 5 a.m. And then they would actually go and work for the day. And then they would film at 5 a.m. The Apprentice people would get their tasks for the day. And by the time they had their time done, they were done with work for the day. So they would go back in the lobby of Trump Tower and then film for like the end of it. And then she said a lot of the times, like they ended up mixing in like if they had a task that they needed done at whatever business they were working on, they would bring it to the show and have them do it too.
Smart.
Yep.
I thought that was interesting. I'm on the same page as you when it comes to politics. I might run for president, and then like there's pictures of her dancing on a bar. I'm like, damn it.
But she's moonwalking and she won.
And I won because I'm a winner. Thank you. All right. Well, let's get into today's topic, shall we?
Yes.
Hello, listeners. Coach Amanda here. For July, we are letting you know that our August cohort of the Mindset of Mommy's 8-week program is launching. So for this program, we are going to focus on your health before and during pregnancy through education, support, and confidence. In this program, you can expect to have more confidence for pregnancy by learning the benefits of movement and having a structured program to follow. The program will be 2 to 3 days per week, along with beginner and advanced movement options. In this program, you can also expect to increase your nutrition quality with personalized coaching from yours truly. We'll gain awareness to the changes you'll experience mentally, physically, and emotionally during pregnancy, create a strong network of support by learning about a diverse range of professionals to include in your health during this time, as well as gaining education on testing done throughout pregnancy. There'll also be a toolkit of resources that includes PDF documents, additional literature that I recommend, podcasts, and social media pages that support your healthiest pregnancy yet. On top of this, you'll get weekly community group calls, weekly written reviews, and our private forum to engage with other like-minded women. You can sign up for this program today for $3.99, and we will start our August cohort August 5th. So if you're interested, please visit mindsetofmommies.com to get more information and to sign up.
We're going to talk to you about this as a way of coming from an empathetic standpoint instead of like a coaching standpoint.
Yes.
For your friends
yes.
and family.
Let's face it, guys, when your partner, I have a partner who loves to work out. We make the same meals. We are, I am his coach, so that helps. And Amanda has a different.
And Amanda, why don't you talk about your experience?
Yeah, tell her about your experience with that.
My partner does not work out and probably orders McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, or Whataburger. 2 to 3 times per week. He'll have a Coke for breakfast. He'll have 2 Red Bulls because now he got trust me, I know. Christina's face
yes
lit up. But that's because he got the smaller cans and they're not the large. I'm like, whatever. So when we first met, he worked out, but he only worked out because he was sad and lonely, not because he enjoyed it. Like he was just trying to get girls at that time. But I didn't know that. I thought he worked out because he enjoyed it.
Yes.
So as soon as we started dating, that kind of stopped happening. So his food over time has significantly changed because of me. So I do have to congratulate him on that. We have encouraged him, like, instead of getting the Coke in the morning, maybe just get a club soda. So sometimes we're consistent with that. And then he joined a gym recently, so that's good. So yeah, my experience is I understand this, and it's really frustrating, and it's really, really hard to just let it be, right? Because I feel like once you start to understand, so there's phases of, we'll say, health and fitness and nutrition. And there's the phase of like, I'm going to do all the things. We're going to do all the things. I got it. And it's really kind of an unhealthy disordered aspect. Then there's the phase of recognizing what works for you and what's realistic and what's sustainable. And then it seems so easy once you understand that point, right? And that's like, this is coming from a place where a lot of our clients experience of, it's just like, I feel like I should be doing more. And it's like, nope, it's literally this easy. Yep. And so when you get to that point of easiness, you want to share that and spread that. But there's a fine line. And I often do this with friends or people I meet of, I really don't share unless I'm asked, because I don't want to come off as preachy, coachy, or degrading. Right. But with my significant other, it's challenging because I'm seeing these things he's doing every day. And then on top of that, I've worked and have worked in healthcare for as long as I have. So I see what those small things that he does or what people do that actually exacerbate the problem long-term. Whereas right now it doesn't matter, but in 10 years from now, it's really going to matter. And it's hard to take a step back and go, I literally can't do anything about this. But here are some things that I can do throughout our environment or our relationship or our house that can influence this long-term perspective.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the difficulty of it, right? I hear all the time the partner bringing the pizza home when you had a meal set out for yourself, or my husband wanted to go out to dinner, or whatever it is, right? The kids were in town, which is fine. I mean, obviously we're big proponents of having that balance. But one of the major challenges for me from a mindset perspective is people will almost use it as an excuse to move away from whatever it was they wanted to do, which isn't necessarily your partner's fault, because you have autonomy. You can make a decision to not have the pizza, or you have the pizza and you have something else with it, whatever it is, or you just eat a slice of pizza and enjoy it. But it becomes, well, I'm a victim to my circumstances. If I'm a victim, I don't have control. If I don't have control, I'm going to eat 5 slices, right? Yeah. And so that's a big part of it. Another thing too is that kind of people pleasing as well. And people pleasing / I don't want to look weird. I hear, right? So there's that mindset piece of, I don't want to be the only one who fill in the blank orders the salad, which why is it always a salad?
I have 2 examples for this. Actually, I feel like this is a great conversation for, like, I understand, like, the client. I understand the client that's in this role, because, so for example, he likes to have ice cream. We'll say 5 out of 7 nights, and it's like really good ice cream. But I don't want ice cream I do want ice cream 5 out of 7 nights, but I'm also like, what's my trade-off here? And so I instead will have like frozen berries, or maybe some Greek yogurt, or a frozen banana, like something that's still sweet that I'm having after dinner with him. And as another turn, so like when we go to Amarillo, they'll order this certain pizza company. And I'm just not like a huge fan of pizza, but they have salads. So I am literally one of the only ones at this family get together of maybe like 12 people minimum. So 12 plus people that is having like a full on salad. But it's because over time I've had to like say, no, like I'll just get the salad. Like I'm okay with not having the pizza. Like, and sometimes I do get shit for it from the family, but I also, again, have to realize like, this is just my choice. Like, I'm not going to have the pizza. So I'm already uncomfortable ordering it, but I'm not going to make you feel more comfortable because I'm going to do that.
Right. And I think you're making a point is like, again, it's that people pleasing. What people have to realize too is that they begin to, if people are like making comments or something like that, that's that person's struggle, right? So, oh, you're going to get a salad. Oh, you're going to that's that person's thing. You can be like, I want a salad, and again, you don't have to have the salad, but it can be very challenging. It can be challenging from a behavioral perspective, right? An environmental perspective. So let's talk about mothers.
Circle back.
It's always the mom. It's always your mom's fault. Just kidding. Sorry, Mom. My mother loves to feed.
Yeah.
She loves to feed. It's her love language, and your father's love language. But what I had Cindy do, I was like, Mom, I have an idea. So here's tip number 1. If your mother loves to feed you, say, hey, Mom, I'm really trying to get more nutrients in, or as I've talked about, I'm focusing on longevity. That's a good word to use. Not I'm trying to lose weight, or I'm trying to, slim up for summer. I have a task for you. Can you make X meal higher protein? Or, Mom, you know that I don't like cake. I've told you guys this, other than a Betty Crocker rainbow chip cake. It's dumb.
It's okay.
Mom, can you make that a healthier option rather than using like the canola oil?
Yeah. And
Cindy does it. She will put applesauce in anything. She'll be like, applesauce. That's what I use. I use applesauce. Or I'll mash up some bananas. I use bananas for this. Oh, I made this pork and I put Greek yogurt in it instead of so if you have a mother who likes to feed you and you can convince her that this is a challenge, Mom, and you are the only person that I want to challenge in this way.
Yeah.
Help me. We should make a recipe book, Mom. Let's make a recipe book of how to make all of your amazing dishes healthier. Wouldn't that be great? And she's going to be like, yes.
Yes.
So That's not a true tip, but it's a tip.
Well, it's just something to say like, hey, and then it includes them and then it challenges them. And it's a way to incorporate
Their love
instead of
for food.
because I feel like what happens in this circumstance is there creates a divide, right? Of like, I'm doing this, you guys all do that. And it becomes either judgy or like a separation or an inconvenience.
Mhm.
And what you're saying is here's an option of us bringing together like is it unreasonable for me to never have this rainbow cake thing ever again? No. But if my mom likes a challenge and her love language is this, here's a way that I can bring that, like what I'm trying to do and what I'd like to see for her secretly also,
Right.
and connect the two. Right.
Right.
And so now she finds it instead of her thinking like, ooh, I'm having like bananas instead of canola oil or whatever she replaces it as. She's just thinking like, ooh, I'm doing this for you.
Yep.
But it's
And
actually for her as well.
she wears it as a badge of honor. She's
Yeah.
like, "No, you will not believe what I made that cake with today." I'm like, awesome. Thank you.
Right.
Do you have the
right.
recipes? Because and this is the thing. It's always like she has no idea how she made it. Like she knows what she put in it, but it's never like a recipe. And I'm like, Mom, write this stuff down so I can
Right.
make it. Anyhow, that's moms. One of the big things also that we hear is like, I don't want to make a different meal for my kids,
Yes.
for moms, right? So I think that let's start there, other than my pretend tip of convincing your mom. I don't think it's pretend, but some moms will be like, no, I just make it this way. That's our family recipe.
Yeah.
So if that's your mom, I'm sorry.
Well, even you can a separate tip for that. So like a fruit salad, like sometimes people add corn syrup and sugar to a fruit salad, which I'm like, why? Yeah,
No,
trust me.
don't do that.
And so sometimes I'll ask like, oh, can we just make a separate bowl without that stuff? Like, so that way we have two bowl options. And usually they're like, because they have people pleasing tendencies as well.
Mhm.
And so, oh yeah, sure. And
Where do you think we got it from?
yeah, advocating for yourself, but also giving everybody else the opportunity to try something else.
Yeah. So I agree with you. And this does go into one of our takeaways, which would be swaps, right? So we make a awesome mac and cheese, and it has Bonza chickpea pasta. It has broccoli. It has we use Laughing Cow, and we use shredded cheese. The Laughing Cow makes it thick. You put the shredded cheese in as it's melting, it becomes that cream sauce. It's delicious. I've had multiple clients make it for their kids, or just the Bonza pasta by itself. I mean, that's an extra serving of veggies without it being green, right? Because sometimes kids don't like colors, but we're going to talk about colors too. So finding those swaps that you can make so that you are having your meal, you're getting your fiber in, your protein, your kids are having the same exact meal. We're not doing this mommy has different dinner type of deal. I know people shit on it, but like Pinterest is a great place for this. Pinterest is an awesome place to find like different hacks with food, or you can just put like healthy tacos or whatever, like, and it'll someone's made it. There's plenty of bloggers out there who are like Cindy. They make them, but they actually write down the recipe. So
that's it. Yeah. And I think for what's important here is that you're not preaching to them about these healthy alternatives. So, because I think of oftentimes like mom will preach to the kids of like, well, we need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. And it's, so don't make it like a big deal to the kids.
No,
and don't be like,
make
hey,
it.
Yeah. And I think like, because sometimes what I find with moms is they give them the kid too many options. And again, you can chastise me for this because I don't have children, but I'm like, why are we giving them so many options? Like just make them the bonsai, whatever pasta and feed it. And they're like, well, they don't like it. It's like, do they not like it because of the way we're preparing it? Like you can add a bit of butter. Like I'm pretty sure they'd like anything if you add a bit of butter. Like don't
Butter
make
noodles.
it so, yeah, like do the alternative, but don't make it so restrictive that you have to. Because what we've seen a lot with some clients is from their mothers is that every time mom went on a diet, the whole household went on a diet.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
that was
now,
very triggering for them.
yes. And so, but don't do that. Don't repeat that same feeling with your kids of just swap it out quietly. And if they say something, just say, oh, I just tried a new one. Or,
Yeah,
oh, we can add
exactly.
some extra marinara or extra butter or extra cheese or whatever. because at that point, it's okay, right?
Right.
Because the kid's not always going to add extra butter, extra cheese, or whatever. We just need to get over this
Mhm.
hump of swaps, but not being preachy about why we're doing this and make it simple.
Right. Absolutely. You brought up a great point here. Is kind of that like piece it together. What do you call it? Like tacos, pizzas, like things that you have all these different toppings.
Yeah.
Right. And very colorful toppings. So talk about that because I think that that is so smart.
Like the giving options to kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where the
So
options are laid out. Yeah.
yeah. So, and you know what this kind of comes from is led feeding, or have you ever heard of that? Baby led feeding. So
What is it
basically,
called?
it's baby
No.
led feeding, I think. So what it is you're going to lay out options for kids, right? They're probably not going to like the broccoli. They're not going to like the Brussels sprouts. They're not going to like this, but we're going to keep presenting them and not making them a big deal because you want
Mm.
to encourage them like, this is, we're going to see it. We're going to have it. We're going to have it. We're going to have it. And it's okay. And if they don't choose it, don't make it a big deal in the sense of like, well, you need to eat the broccoli and then you can leave. It's like, how about you just
Mhm.
encourage them to try it? Hey, can you just try it? If you don't like it, totally fine. And they probably aren't going to like it. It's okay. But then we present it
Mhm.
again, and then we present it again. And you also want to give them the independence too, because what I've found for like tacos, for example, kids are probably going to do meat, cheese, beans, right? But there might be
Mhm.
avocado, there might be shredded lettuce, there might be some tomatoes, there might be peppers and other types of things that you can include. At some point, they're going to want to try it because they're going to see you doing it, or maybe dad doing it, or an older brother, or somebody that they admire doing it. So just let it happen naturally. And this
Yes.
is with the baby led feeding, this is kind of the theory behind it, from what I understand, is as a baby, and they're switching to solid foods, you essentially, like you're saying, you make your food, but then you make your food as a baby friendly food too.
Mm.
And then you put it in front of them. So like there's eggs, toast, broccoli, we'll say, and I don't know, carrots. And maybe they don't eat the carrots this time and they focus on the other three. Okay, well, I'm going to bring the carrots back in another time and have different options and let them kind of decide what
Love that.
they are going to eat over time.
Right. No, I love that. And obviously that would help long term, right?
Yes.
But, in regards to mothers, who are like, I don't want to make a separate meal, like just even doing that with, like we said, tacos,
Right.
fajitas, pizza, where they're making their own toppings, you're making your own toppings, your own deal, mix. You might have a salad night. You might have even like a pasta, a baked potato. Like there's so many things. If it can be a bar at a wedding, taco bar, pasta bar, macaroni bar, potato bar, then do it.
Yes.
Do it. Perfect example of how to bring that health into the family, right? And you not having, like that nutrition, I should say, into the family. You not having to recreate the meal, do something different. Everyone is happy, and we're happy, right? And we move on. And you talked about something earlier with Michael about the ice cream. Like Mark and I have ice cream every night. He has Halo Top, or we make a creamy, or I do a Yasso bar. And there are a lot of really awesome options with that. Like the Yasso bars are amazing. They're made with Greek yogurt. They taste delicious. Like your kid is going to be like, this is great. And it's something that has like less shit in it than other foods. And you can have one too, Mom. You can have a Yasso bar as well. And finding those things, like in our coaching program, I think that's why that's so helpful. People are like, oh, I didn't even realize that these things exist, because they just stay away from the ice cream aisle altogether. I'm like, well, there's all these really wonderful options out there that are whole foods. We talk about it all the time. The real good food chicken tenders.
Yes. Which they now carry at Sprouts, actually.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
I was there the other day and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, Sprouts.
Yay. So you guys, these are chicken tenders or chicken nuggets that are made with chickpea flour. They have chicken breast. They're made with sunflower, safflower, and avocado oil.
I don't know.
And they even have whey protein in them. Like, come on. Chocolate milk. I was watching this the other day. I think I talked about this earlier, that there was a taste test no, I didn't talk to you about it. There was a taste test between regular chocolate milk, Fairlife chocolate milk, Fairlife Core Power, and Fairlife, the higher one. I don't know the name of that one. And the guy could figure out the ones that are protein shakes, but there is a Fairlife chocolate milk that's just milk, and it's actually 30 grams of protein.
Wow.
He couldn't tell the difference between regular chocolate milk and the Fairlife milk. And this is a grown-ass man that loves chocolate milk. So like little things, little swaps like that.
Right.
And creamies, get a Ninja Creamy, if all else fails.
Well, and that's it. Like, I think too, another point that we should talk about is the gals who have friends that, you know how usually like one's getting healthy. Oh, I've been interested in getting healthy, because I've had clients ask me if like if they're going to do like a brunch buffet or whatever, not a buffet, what's it called? Potluck or style type thing.
Oh yeah.
I interrupt this episode to bring you our 2nd July promo, 50% off the Mindset Method Self-Guided Coaching Program. This curriculum walks you through my mindset method to help you recreate a relationship with your body, food, and exercise. In this program, you're going to receive a weekly mindset reflection based in the method: the know, the name, the notice, and the nurture. On top of that, you're going to receive daily journal prompts to help you enhance what you're learning in that week's time. You'll also get access to our community forum, and most importantly, access to a Q&A link where you can get coaching from Coach Amanda and I in this exact podcast on everything you're learning. So if you're someone who's looking to recreate her relationship with who she sees in the mirror, how she trains herself, how she feeds herself, or wants to quiet the food noise or the toxic resilience, click our show notes below to receive 50% off using the code INTRO50. Now, back to the show.
And so instead of, again, preaching to them about, oh, I made this and this is super healthy, and it's like what you can do, again, tacos. I always love tacos because it's the easiest kind of thing, is just make a roast, right? Instead of like a queso dip and this dip and there's no protein or anything, just present it and give them the option for it too.
Right.
Or bring like the vegetables that you enjoy and the recipes, and
Buffalo chicken dip.
Yeah, your buffalo chicken dip is so good. Someone was
And
telling
it's
me the other day.
so high protein.
Yes. And so again, like friends, because they're going to say, usually the girls go, oh, like, you're just so healthy, I could never do that. Or, and be like, oh no, I just made this crock pot like roast for brunch. Like, it literally took 6 hours on low and I didn't have to do anything. And so it's more showing and presenting without making it a big deal. So like for this guy, here, just try this chocolate milk. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but now let's look at the label because you enjoy it. Now I can tell you, like, this is an easy swap for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, I love that. Like with friends, like making, finding those recipes. Again, mine is always my either buffalo chicken dip, or I'll do that yogurt dip that I made with Greek yogurt and whipped cream, sugar-free whipped cream. And then you just add like a bunch of berries and whatever and dip it. It's great. Yep. Not making it a thing, right? And you said not saying, oh, this is healthy, but also saying like, I can't have that.
Right.
We have to watch our own language, because why would we be encouraging anyone to do what we're doing or even come to us for advice? Because y'all know, once you start seeing results, people will start asking you what you're doing. When our language around what we're doing is so restrictive, I think that that's a big thing that we didn't realize we were going to necessarily talk about. Of, you can help other people by saying, yeah, I'm on this health journey and I'm having ice cream, and I'm here having a glass or two of Prosecco. I don't restrict things. And it's funny because I hear these conversations. I'm sure you do too. Clients be like, yeah, I went to this event and everyone's like, you look so good. What are you doing? Are you on Ozempic? This was actually a client who at a Super Bowl party was told if she wanted to look good at her wedding, which was this past Saturday, she would have to go on Ozempic. Bullshit, she did. She did not have to do that. And she looks phenomenal. She looked absolutely stunning. But she would go to all these events and it was always like, oh, I can't have this or I can't eat that. And she's like, well, I eat these things. I just enjoy them and eat them slowly and just make sure that I enjoy it, and she wasn't preaching. And she's the one losing weight, right? And she's the one who looks fantastic. I mean, she lost 5 or 6 inches in her waist.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like nutsos. And eating. She's eating, right? And working out 2 days a week in her home gym and focusing on steps, she did buy a walking pad for her desk. She's a dentist, so she sits a lot. Love her. Shout out. She's going to have a before and after for us.
Good.
Mental and physical. So anyways, being able to watch your language.
Yes.
I think you can be very encouraging for people when we're not using words like I can't have that, or that's bad.
Or it's not in my like plan, my nutrition, like meal log.
I've got to
like you
fit
said,
it.
that restrictive mindset. Because I think when people go like, oh, well, I don't want to like not have, because there's going to be something that someone will say they'll give up for X amount of time, but they don't want to give it up forever. They'll give it up for that diet phase, but not forever. So if you're constantly saying like, oh, I can't have cookies, I can't have cookies, I can't. And then they're like, well, I mean, I wouldn't have cookies to lose weight, but she looks fine. So like, am I going to not have to have cookies? Well, I might as well enjoy the cookie now because I'm not going to do what she's doing. And so you're just like, that messaging is really important. Like you're saying of, it's okay to have the cookie, or you could say, you know, I just don't really like peanut butter cookies. So I'm okay. I mean, I like peanut butter cookies. I was just using that for an example. Like,
I love peanut butter cookies.
I'll eat a peanut butter cookie. But
Listen, I love cookies.
I like cookies too, but they have to be.
Never met a cookie I don't like. I don't think.
I think I have. I don't really like crumble cookies. I know. I know.
They're so good. They're so good. Now, listen, some of their toppings I will not have.
Yeah.
I have to have, I know I have a rule. I need to have all 4. I need to like all 4 of them in order to order from Crumble.
Yeah. The question I like.
Don't look at it now because I'm starving at the moment.
Yeah, I'm hungry too, actually.
Okay. So anything else in regards to nutrition?
We talked about don't be preachy, lead by example, do simple swaps, show that restriction is not anybody's friend, encourage others by having plethora of options, get the family on board in a secret way. I don't want to be like, not deceptive, but just easily incorporating. No, I don't think so. I think
here's the thing. No one gives a shit what was in their food before. So why do you need to tell them after?
Yes.
Right? No one's like, excuse me, ma'am, can I have the ingredients to this meal? They just ate it, but again, maybe we can put together, what we have is that easy to prepare list of foods that are macro friendly, meaning they either have high protein or they're higher fiber or they're just good overall. Some of them are not the greatest option, but even like Trader Joe's reduced guilt turkey corn dogs in an air fryer. That's something. Air fryer, Instapot, crock pot, like these are all things that can help. Rather than frying something, you can put those chicken wings in the air fryer for your family. They're still going to taste good. Or a Traeger, chicken wings in a Traeger. Get out of here. So good.
Even I would say, so like my dad likes to do this breaded chicken breast thing. And so for example, he fries it on the pan. Okay. So you could still have the breaded chicken breast, but now just bake it. Like, it doesn't have to be this complete 180. Like you don't have to literally change out the chocolate milk or the Banza pasta, but you can just change the method of delivery as well. And so you might get kickback from the family or friends about that initially, but over time, if you keep doing it that way, it is what it is. And I think that's what a lot of parents end up doing when you're talking about, like, they make one meal for kid A, one meal for kid B. Husband doesn't like this, so then I've got to alter that, and then I've got what I've got to have. And at some point, if someone wants to make, now kids is kind of a wishy-washy topic because at some point they can't make their own food. But if these people are grown and are capable of making their own food, then fine, you can make your own food. But we don't need to be making 4 different plates. It needs to be one family cohesive thing.
Right. No, I agree. And moms, I want you to hear what Amanda just said, because y'all be like, I don't have enough time.
Oh,
that's a time saver for you. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's switch over to exercise. That's probably something, especially if you're someone who, like, I think of my client Alana, who posts her workout. She looks great. She's feeling great. She talks about the fact that she's not starving. She actually is eating at maintenance and seeing amazing body comp changes. She's strength training. People are coming to her like, tell me what you're doing. Tell me everything. Right. Now, that can be difficult because I feel like there's a lot of pressure on people to give the right information. Right. And for her, she's like, here's what I'm doing. Her name, here's her card. So she always refers to us. But how would you approach someone who is like, you look great, what are you doing? Or how have maybe you helped clients with that?
I usually talk about like, well, what are you currently doing too?
Right.
So this is from a coaching
To the person.
Yeah, to the person. So if they're currently doing something, I'm like, oh, interesting. From, again, coaching, not as a friend. Because what they're currently doing is not serving them if they're not happy in what's happening, right? Or if they're not seeing changes. So that's where I have the kind of the tough conversation, because most of the time the current programming is there is no programming. I go to the gym either all the time or none of the time, and I'm not consistent with anything, right? So that's a totally different conversation. But if it's a friend where they're like, oh gosh, I just like don't know what to do, and I just think, you know what it would like is something super simple is just following something like an app. You know, that way you don't have to think about it. That way it's 20 minutes. Like, and again, now you can dive down the rabbit hole of like which app is appropriate and all that crap. But
I know one.
well, yes, I know. But even like, let's talk, like, just make sure find somebody you enjoy and start there. Or because I'm not a big fan of like a gym partner, but what do you like doing? You know, like if you don't have any movement practice, do you like going to Zumba? Well, why don't you try finding like a Zumba class or trying it with a friend or something like that? And so it's that kind of, what do you enjoy as opposed to what will get you the results, right? Because the results will come with the joy.
Right. Well, and that's what I think. Okay, as a friend, I think that's a good conversation to have too. You said as a coach, but we can transition that as a friend or even a partner, right? Now, Mark and I don't work out together. We did this weekend, but we don't like, we're not like spotting each other. We're in the gym at the same time. And that was because we were at this hotel and we're like, what are we going to do today? I'm like, well, let's just go work out, you know? But being able to be okay too, if we are wanting to promote this, that maybe our husband is going to play basketball with his friends. And that's a time that he enjoys. He's being active. That gets him off the couch. Great. It doesn't have to be your program, which is great for you too, because that takes responsibility off of you to be his like coach, because you're not their coach. We don't want to coach them because again, that seems very, it can be judgy or even, And so understanding the things that your people like for your kids to get active. This is not hard. Play with them. This is great for you too. I have multiple women on vacation this week. And I said, look, don't worry about your workouts. Go paddleboarding, go hiking, go play with a football, like go out and, snorkel or swim. There's so many things you'll be doing with your children that are going to make memories. And guess what? If you're doing it, maybe hubby or partner gets involved, right? And it doesn't have to be this big thing. Now, there's a whole conversation that people will have about training kids too. We're not talking about that today, or I wasn't planning on it. But
cross that off.
It's, eventually over time, number one, I don't think that a parent should train their kid unless they have experience, right? But when we're talking about just getting everyone involved and kind of this becoming a family lifestyle, that's really what we're talking about here, is making a family. The lifestyle of this family is small things, right? So we talked about this on the vacation, how to survive the summer, hot grown-ass woman summer. We don't take a cab if it's 15-minute walk. Right. And it's not hot as hell. Right. So I think that that's a big one. And again, you're killing so many birds with one stone because you're enjoying yourself. You're getting your own exercise in. Your partner's getting involved. Your kids are having a good time. They're active. We're an active family. Like,
Yes.
how many families do you know? I don't remember if I was listening to a podcast. She was like, I never want to be a part of a family that does a turkey trot on Thanksgiving.
But you know what? Here's a couple things, because I've got the kind of this is me and my in-laws essentially is, so for example, Michael doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't work out. Right. And I had to learn over time, like his active standards are different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do go on vacation, he respects my active standards that we are going to walk a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it's a 20-minute walk, we're walking, and as long as it's not like in a bad neighborhood or something like that. And he's okay with it. Or like before I had a baby in my belly, what we would do when we go on vacation is do like drink and nap days. And it's just us enjoying, but because you want to go to different restaurants when you're in a new city. And so we would have a drink at one, have an appetizer at one, and then go to the next one and the next one. But we were walking in between that. Now, the walking doesn't outweigh the calories, but that's not the point. The point is that we were still being active. Then actually was it this last year? Or no, it was the year before. Because when we went out for his family's holiday of that year, I forget whatever one it was. And we all, like me and a group of the cousins, we went to the gym the next day together. And so then we all kind of looked at each other like, well, we all go to the gym. Like, why don't we just go tomorrow? And again, everybody's not doing the same workout, but it was just kind of fun, like as a camaraderie thing to go afterwards and hang out together. So it's recognizing like who is in, whether it's your family or your in-laws family or your partner's family, like that has a similar kind of mindset. And then maybe you are the leader in that of being like, hey, we should go for a walk after dinner. Does anybody want to come? Or like, hey, do you guys want to go to the gym tomorrow? Like, let's go at night. And this is where you have to say, like you're talking about with the mom and paddleboarding, of don't think of it as a workout, because you're going to be frustrated and you're going to be aggravated that you're not getting your workout in. But think of it of the benefit you're getting internally and socially with these people and what you're sharing with them, because that's actually going to be more positive for your body than the workout and being frustrated that you didn't get it either.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And even if it's just, rather than telling them like how to perfect the stuff. So for example, like you're talking about moms and the kids and getting them active, like realize that like them playing, soccer on weekends is fun, and let it be fun. Like if they want to take it to an advanced level, because I'll see that with parents sometimes as they start getting almost too into the activity because they want them to feel healthy. They want them to enjoy it. They want them to do it lifelong. It's like, just let them have fun with it and focus on like their progress that they've made over time, instead of like becoming an athlete at 8 years old. Right. Or like if your husband goes to the gym once a week and being like, don't be disappointed in that. Be like, he goes once a week. That's wonderful. Like that gives him his one time. And if he wants to go more, we'll figure it out. But don't push them.
One thing I was thinking about is my parents. So my brother's 4 years older than me. And for as long as I can remember, at night after dinner, they would walk to what they said was the little store. And it was probably, I don't know, a quarter mile each way. And they'd go get us snacks. So they would take that time, just the two of them. Because my brother was old enough for us to stay in the house alone for the 10, 20 minutes they were gone. And it was their time, and that was their walk. And now as an adult, I'm like, genius. It was after dinner. So helping with blood sugar regulation. It was time to themselves to reconnect as a couple. They made it where we didn't care because we're like, we're getting a snack, right? And so they would ask us what we wanted. We got a choice. We had our snack, and then life was good. Like we went to sleep, all was well, right? So even like little things, like having those traditions. I hear a lot of couples like, that's my time with my husband to walk the dogs. Great. Love that for you guys. And, as long as it's working for everybody, like finding those little rituals you guys do together. Like Adrienne's parents, usually anytime she's in town, they'll do something active. So she was in town this last couple weeks ago. They went, I don't know why they did this at like 2 p.m., but they hit golf balls.
Oh,
I know. She goes, it's 108 out. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why y'all are doing that, but usually they'll go hiking. They'll do something, right? As a family. My family, I was the active one. My brother got in a really bad accident, so he had a lot of issues after, like, basically his freshman year of high school. So he probably would have been more active without that. So my parents just did their walk. Sometimes they went to the gym, but again, like what you're saying is keep it simple, have your expectations be low, like actually, or don't have any expectations, right? If your husband goes once a week, great.
Great.
My husband plays games in between sets. And sometimes I look at him like, are you even getting a workout in?
Well,
and then I have to remember, he's
we
not the gym.
We can take my father, for example. Like, he goes to the gym, I don't know, every other day, essentially. And it's so frustrating because I know what he's doing, and it's the same thing every single time. And I see his body contorting to what he's doing. And I've tried to help, but he didn't take it well. Like, it was like,
I didn't ask you.
Correct. So he didn't ask, and I didn't hear him. I just told him what he was doing wrong. Right. And so I had to realize, like, this guy's going to the gym at least, and he's 70 plus years old, and he's pretty like fine for where he is in life. And so the important part, like, initially I took it like personal, because I was like, how could you not trust me? Like, why wouldn't you listen to me? I know all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Right. Correct. As you're shaking your head. And
He's your dad.
Yes. Or he's your partner, or she's your friend, or whatever. You have to remember that. Wait for them to ask for the information or be open to receiving the information. Don't overwhelm them with the information. And then also, I think one of the most important things is, if you deliver that information, don't be offended if they didn't take it.
Right.
Because I would say to the client that we coach with is, how many times did someone say this to you? And you kept thinking, that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. That's not me. Or like, that doesn't apply to me. And then at one point it finally clicked. Like, that's where they're at. You have to let it click for them as well, and not take it personal.
Well, and I was just at my in-laws, and my in-laws are very different people. My father-in-law doesn't really get off the couch. He has some neuropathy issues. He's got diabetes. There's a lot of things
with Mark and your mother-in-law.
And my sister-in-law, who's very healthy. I was going to
say, she's pretty active.
My mother-in-law is the exact opposite. I mean, she's out. She does everything. She does, like we've talked about, gardening. She plays pickleball. She's 80 years old, right? And like does all the things. And for her, we don't have a lot of conversations about health. Maybe she'll ask me, she's like, oh, like, this is a pretty big meal you're having, and not in a bad way. And I'm like, oh, this is actually, X amount of calories. This is this much protein. Cause she'll look at it and it looks so big to her. And I'm like, well, no, like, and like, we'll have conversations about that. Whereas my father-in-law, I'd be like, can I eat this? And I've told him, I go, not on my watch, buddy. Everyone starts laughing, and he's like, I'm glad you don't live here. Like, you asked. But I mean, and I was telling Mark, I'm like, I just wish you would take your dad to the gym. I know he won't go though, because like, and I was trying to think about, like, because of the neuropathies in his feet, like, could we get him to do some like bands sitting there? Are there things we could do? And Mark's like, I don't know if that he wants to. Right. And that's the bigger deal. Like, my dad, for those of you guys don't know, my dad has stage 4 lung cancer. He makes sure to walk on his treadmill or he does the laps in the house. So the house has really long hallways. He has a foot, like those foot ellipticals. And he has weights at his, by his side. He has a, Ensure protein at every meal. Right. And he's trying, and he is, doing all right. And it's tough. Specifically, I think we're just kind of moving into the topic of aging parents. Like, and I talked to my mom because she was kind of getting a little bit of a hunch. So we started, I taught her to do like rows, and different things to kind of help with her posture. And she does them. she's made the swaps for my dad. She's always eaten fairly healthy. She actually doesn't eat enough, of course.
Yeah.
She's like a bird. I'm like, she goes, I had 2 eggs. I had protein. I'm
I
like,
know that's what my mom does.
this-
Too. We're working on it.
I'm like, great. And this is a good point. Great. Good job.
Yes.
That's not enough. You need to eat more.
Yep.
Awesome. Yes. 2 eggs. You were cognizant. You made that decision based on something that I told you to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be the protein police. And same with my father-in-law. He's like, okay. And he put back the food. Like, great job, Sid. You know?
My dad did. He asked me one time, he's like, hey, Amanda, should I get like the farm salmon or the wild caught salmon? Like, and I was like, I think it's just important that you eat salmon. So whatever you prefer buying, like, I think, again, I could tell him like, well, actually wild caught has a lot more benefits and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, that's such a, like how we talk about big rocks and the grains of the sand and that. I'm like, that is such a like small thing on our totem pole of what I would try and achieve with you. That I think as long as you're buying salmon and you're having it once, twice a week, you're totally okay. And he was like, oh, really? Really? I was like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get into that because it's going to go, you also have to recognize, like, I think what you and I are talking about too, in another way is recognize your audience. So Mark knows, he's like, hey, he probably just won't do it. Right. So recognizing like, okay, I don't really need to try and convince him, or I don't need to educate my father on the benefits of wild caught versus farmed. Like, he's just asking a question. Like, should I have this or should I not? I don't need to tell him, well, your carb ratio, blah, blah, blah. It's make it simple because you needed it simple too. And that's what got you to the path that you're at. And so remember that too, because now that you have all the information, doesn't mean you need to share it, which I know you want to, because it's very exciting and you enjoy it and you're in this better health space and you want to promote it. But recognize the audience that you're talking to.
Well, and you bring up such an amazing point. Like, your journey is not their journey.
Yes.
You know how many people piss me off? Doctors do this too, where they're like, well, this worked for me.
Oh,
that's great.
You know what's wild? I had a gal come. She was thinking about doing in-person training. So she came for a consult and she wanted to lose weight. And so I'm like, okay. And she's like, I've done keto before. And she goes, and then I'm going to this doctor's office and they're all doing keto. And I was like, the whole doctor's office? She goes, yeah, but I did keto before and then I gained all the weight back. And so now I'm seeing these people do keto and the doctor's trying to tell me to do keto again because it was working for her and their whole office. But I've already done keto and I gained the weight back. So I'm really conflicted.
Like,
yeah. And like, know your audience, doctor. Also, to listen to her, like she's already done it. She already has a negative perspective of it, like of how it doesn't work. So I know.
Doctors do that all the time. Or like people on Instagram who are like, well, I was big and this worked for me. And they didn't talk about, the purging that they did. But now coming back to us, and I want to talk about boundaries because I think not only boundaries for us, but then how to set boundaries with people who aren't being kind about your journey, right? I think that's really important. But your journey is not their journey. People who come into our ecosystem, we're going to figure out, we meet every single person where they're at and we find their norms. What do they know they can do based on their lifestyle, their circumstances, their mental and physical capacities? What can they do? Capacities and limitations.
Yeah.
And that is what, if you are offering any advice, and we've already kind of touched on this, like, what are some small changes you can make? What is, maybe this person, you say, I obviously eat with you. Would you always ask permission. Would you like some small swaps that I think you can do? Sure. All right. Well, this is your palm. Try to get one of these of protein at each plate. Let's just start there. Start small. Know that they're not going to hit their 140 grams of protein every day. It's probably not going to happen for most people. But if we can just get them to add that palm of protein, then they can be consistent with it. And then they can add to it. Offering resources, of course, this podcast being one. Hi. Hey, we're here.
Yeah.
We can help. Podcasts are a great thing, right? Podcast coaching programs, Instagram, but be careful with that. But they're not going to be you. And I want to say this to coaches too. Your client is not you.
Correct.
Stop getting pissed because they don't do what you do. They're not a health coach. They're not a professional. They're not someone who's obsessed with working out and eating right. We're all a little kooky in this industry. Well, we've gotten out of the kook. Now we're calm. We're in the calm part of it.
Yeah, but still, we are passionate in this field.
I don't have it. I mean, at this point, it's like not an option to not do these things.
Yeah. That's for me. I'm like, I just wouldn't not work out, or I just wouldn't not have
brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
The next thing that I'm working on is maintaining my brain. As I've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We never talk about it. Wordle. I got it on the second try the other day. Fucking genius. Genius.
That was Wordle.
Good old Wordle. I want you to play and then share with me. Dustin and I do that every morning. We text each other every morning, our Wordle. Anyway, anything to add to that? It's everyone's individual journey, and don't get pissed. They're not doing it your way. I think we already touched on that, but
no, there's nothing there.
Okay. And then how do we kind of shut people down when they are being like overboard with the comments?
Like intrusive, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I appreciate that. Thank you. And like, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
You don't have to engage in conversation. Like, you don't have to combat them. You don't have to, like, for example, sometimes with my OBGYN, I'm like, not going to do that, but okay. Like, and I just go, okay, thank you. I don't need to try and prove a point because
kid's going to come out with fish gills.
Yes. That's what I would say. It's just, okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Another thing I love is instead of like, if you are, say in a fat loss phase and you're cutting, we don't have to tell people that.
No.
I'm just minding my portions.
Yeah.
Or I'm just trying to figure out like how to not feel like shit after I eat.
Right. Or vice versa. Don't say like, oh, I'm just focusing on weight loss, because this is what I get a lot of times. Clients will be, oh, I'm just focusing on weight loss. And be, oh, you don't need to lose weight. You don't need to lose weight. Like, you're fine. You're fine. And then sometimes mothers like start food pushing and all this stuff. And you don't have to let people know like, oh, I'm just trying to strength train 3 times a week. Like, sometimes it's okay to have it to yourself and share it extrinsically or externally as the journey goes on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually
no. Yeah. And I just think that having some of those one-liners, instead of saying I can't have that, like, I don't want one.
I'm okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I had a client, she, anytime she goes like to cake or like a gathering that they have a dessert, she feels so guilty if she doesn't try the dessert because she likes to bake as well. And so she talks about like, I can't tell them, no, I don't want it, because I know the effort that they put into it and they want me to try, and I'd want someone to try it too. And I said, well, why don't you just, take the offering and say, oh, thank you. And then you can put it down and forget about it too. Like, or you can try it. Like, if you try it and you're like, I actually don't like this, like, you can put it down and walk away. Like,
yes,
I have a great example
of this. Go ahead. I have a great example of this. My client, she's fairly new to the program, and she said they went out to dinner after family photos. Whole family was there, and they got a caramel chocolate cake, and she's got 3 littles, and then her and her husband. And she said, and I had my bite of it. Now, she's still in the beginning phases of this. So she actually got up and took her nephew, who was getting a little fussy, out as a way to kind of separate herself. She goes, but the interesting thing was I took the mouthful. Why? Because then I didn't think about how good that food was that I missed out on, which would have then put me in a spiral to then feel, she's already connected with a sense of rebellion against, like, with food because of her upbringing. Like, it's kind of again, a fuck you, mom. And she's like, but just taking that mouthful and like, as we talked, I told her, and I've put this on Instagram, I said, eating food that you love or indulgent food distracted is like doing your taxes while having sex. We don't want to do that. Okay.
Yes.
We want to take the food and enjoy it. She goes, I did it. My brain said, that's what that tastes like. And I moved on. So not necessarily like a boundary. I mean, it is, it's a little bit off topic of like what we're talking about specifically, also something I think is a good boundary is don't feel obligated to coach everyone.
No.
That's a big deal because you feel like, well, I'm the one who knows.
Right.
I'm the one who, or will you come to the gym with me? And then you're like trying to move your schedule around to like get that, you say, well, this is the time I come. If you can come with me, come at that time, will you come grocery shopping with me? Or can you come to my pantry and clean everything out? Maybe these are only things people ask us, but I don't know. Like, no, I can't do that. Or yes, it's going to cost you. But have your own boundaries around help. I know that, especially our clients, like they know there's fucking magic in this. Like once you figure it out, but it's also not. If you've worked with us, you know what boundaries are because that's a part of the method is establishing them so that you can take time for yourself. And so really have that, like keep it sacred, open yourself up as much as you want and make sure that we're not taking on helping someone if it's going to affect us negatively. So that's another boundary.
Well, and I think too, is realize that you probably will encounter those situations. So you probably will overextend yourself for someone. You probably will try and like educate and influence other people or post or whatever it is. And you'll feel that rejection at some point. And that's okay. Like, because I understand where you're at, that you want to share it because it's so exciting, it's new and you feel great. And you just know, like, my thing is like, man, a lot of people probably don't know how bad they really fucking feel because of the way they treat themselves, right? Like they just think that this feeling of bad is normal. But when you look at it and you start to digest it.
My back's hurting.
Yeah. Why is my butt hurting? So it's those things of like, similar to the client who we have that binges, like you're probably going to binge again and that's okay. But like, how can we learn from each experience? So you're probably going to overshare some, or you're probably really going to get engaged with someone and it's going to be okay because they might not receive it. And that gives you the opportunity to learn like, oh, okay, so this is how I set a boundary for myself. Like it's nothing against them. This is just my passion and I need to kind of make sure that I'm setting it up, like I'm giving my energy out appropriately because I've even done that like for myself with, sometimes there'll be some people that I'll like engage with on social media. I'll be like, just text me real quick. Like, I feel like we can probably resolve this and not necessarily need a coaching program, but can offer a coaching program or can offer just some insight and tidbits. And I've learned for myself, I don't do that anymore because then I get too invested. And I'm like, and I tell them like, this was what I would do. This is my experience, or this is my hindsight of what is happening with you. And then I always recommend like, this is the program I would recommend, or this is what I would say moving forward. And then I'll see them like post again, asking the question in a different way a couple weeks later. And that's one thing that I learned last year, but this year I was like, you know what? Nope, we're done. Like, I'm not like, I love giving free advice and helping and hopping on a call, but for my own sanity, I can't do that anymore or with certain terms and conditions,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Other than that, know that again, not everything you tell people they're going to take either.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That doesn't mean anything about you. That just means they weren't ready. So similar to what you're saying, like you're telling these people to do something, you didn't give them the answer they wanted.
Yes.
And we have to remember that a lot of people have not even realized that their true struggle is what they believe about themselves.
Yes.
That is why, 90% of people gain the weight back. but when it comes to friends, family, people you care about, I think, just doing some of the things that we've talked about, like being, leading by example in the ways that are counter to diet culture. And, whether that's with your words, your actions, being open to helping people, but within reason, supports you. Also, making sure that we're doing it. It's almost like this covert, like, what's the word? Covert
Operation.
Thank you. That was it. That was the one. Covert operation that it's just, you're kind of like slowly planting these seeds and they don't even realize it. They don't even know what's happening. And all of a sudden now we're a family or a friend group that balances. Values it. We balance it. Our friend group are big fans of like bike bar crawls. Like it sounds so dumb, but we're like, well, we want to get some movement in because we're all very active. We all met at a gym, or we'll go somewhere that has games. So we're not just sitting around. So, I think that's good.
I think
Anything
so.
else?
No, wrap it up, sister.
All right, perfect. Well, if you guys love us, we love you. Please share this podcast. We want to get this out as many listeners as we can. So if you can share with the people you love or leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that would be wonderful. If you want to follow us on social media, I am at Mindset of Matter Coaching. Amanda is at fitbyamanda.az, and you can find our video recordings of this to see our beautiful faces on YouTube at The Mindset of Matter. Other than that, we are running a promo on Mindset of Mommies. Mindset of Mommies. I'm going to say that again, which is Amanda's other baby program. We're offering $100 off of that program. So we will link that in the show notes below. And that's it, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, if you only remember one thing from this podcast, remember this.
What you say in the mind,
you see in the mirror. Goodbye.